In 1783, an Irish couple who had just immigrated to America had a son. They named him Hugh Glass. There's very little information about his early childhood, but what we do know is that as he grew up, he owned a small ship and worked along the eastern coast of America, transporting cargo and supplies. But everything changed one day. A French pirate named Jean Lafitte boarded his ship. He looked at Hugh and said, "Stay quiet. You'll work for me now, and if you refuse, I'll kill you." From that moment, Hugh Glass became nothing more than a prisoner on his own ship, a slave to a pirate, forced to obey every order without question. For 2 long years, Hugh remained under his control, until one day, under Lafitte's command, the ship was sent toward Texas. When they arrived in Texas, Hugh saw his chance, a moment of opportunity, a moment of escape, and he took it. He left the ship and ran, but what Hugh didn't fully understand was the world he was stepping into. At that time, America as a nation was still not fully formed. Texas wasn't part of the United States, and it wasn't fully controlled by Spain either. It was a chaotic land filled with Native American tribes, and these tribes had one rule when it came to outsiders. If you're a pirate, or look like one, you don't leave alive. Hugh, still carrying the appearance of someone from a pirate ship, somehow managed to pass through these territories without being noticed. It was pure luck. Some might say Hugh wasn't a pirate, but in that world, it didn't matter. He had come from a pirate ship, and that alone made him dangerous in their eyes. Eventually, Hugh crossed the entire state of Texas and made his way toward Kansas. But Kansas was even more dangerous. He was now traveling through regions filled with people who deeply hated Europeans and showed no mercy to outsiders. Back then, when Europeans traveled into the American frontier, they never traveled alone. They moved in armed groups for protection, but Hugh was alone, completely alone. Soon, he was spotted by a Native American tribe in Kansas. He was captured and taken to their leader. The chief looked at him and immediately said, "He's white. Why did you bring him here? Throw him into the fire." The men agreed. They prepared to burn him alive, but just before they could do it, Hugh reached into his pocket. Inside was a small bag of red powder. With his last hope, he held it up and said, "I'll give this to you. With it, you can paint anything red, even draw red lines on your face." The tribe had never seen anything like it. They were fascinated. Without telling their chief, they decided to let him go. And just like that, Hugh was free again. He moved on and eventually found a safer settlement where other white settlers lived. Unlike before, this region wasn't hostile toward Europeans. Hugh stayed there because he had weapons. He started hunting animals and selling their skins to the locals. Over time, he built a stable life. He even married a Native American woman, and his trading business began to grow. He prepared animal skins, sold them, and made a strong living. But one day, he heard about something that changed everything. If he traveled near Yellowstone, the famous volcanic region, he could hunt animals with extremely valuable fur. One of the most valuable at the time was the beaver. Beaver fur was worth a fortune. Hugh Glass, now an experienced fur trader, convinced 13 other men to join him. He told them, "Let's go there, hunt together, sell the furs, we'll all make good money." The next day, Hugh and his team set out toward Yellowstone. But the journey was long. From Kansas to Yellowstone was not a simple trip. There were no vehicles, no roads, only wilderness. They walked, hunted, and cooked whatever they could find along the way. Then one day, everything changed. While Hugh was out hunting alone, a massive female grizzly bear suddenly attacked him from the bushes. Hugh had entered her territory, and a mother grizzly is one of the most dangerous animals in the wild. Unlike male bears, which might retreat, a female protecting her cubs almost never backs down. She charged at him violently. She tore into his body, breaking bones, ripping flesh, destroying his arm and leg. Hugh was left barely alive. By the time his companions arrived, they managed to scare the bear away, but what they saw next shocked them. Hugh was barely breathing, unable to move. They had a decision to make. One man suggested building a wooden stretcher and carrying him, but another man disagreed. His name was John Fitzgerald, often misheard in retellings. He argued that Hugh was already as good as dead. Tension broke out between the group. Arguments turned into violence, and eventually, gunfire erupted. Fitzgerald and a few others killed the men who wanted to save Hugh. And then, they left him behind, alive, but completely helpless. Hugh couldn't move, but he was conscious. He saw everything. He knew exactly who betrayed him. Time passed, and something inside him changed. He dragged his broken body across the ground, using only one functioning arm. Step by step, inch by inch, he reached a stream. He drank water, washed his face, tried to stay alive, and in that moment, something ignited inside him: survival and revenge. He realized everything that happened was because of Fitzgerald. Hugh looked at himself, broken and nearly dead, and made a decision. I will live, and I will find him. Using sticks and whatever he could find, he stabilized his broken limbs and began moving again. Painfully, he pushed forward. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. He survived by eating whatever small animals he could hunt, using only a knife and pure willpower. And then, after 6 months of unimaginable suffering, Hugh Glass reached Yellowstone. Still alive, still searching, still driven by revenge. He began asking everywhere about Fitzgerald. He showed his description to travelers, hunters, and settlers until finally he learned where he might be. A place called Fort Atkinson. But there was a problem. Fitzgerald had joined the newly formed United States military, and killing him now would mean facing the entire army. What happens next depends on which version of history you believe. Some say Hugh eventually confronted him. Others say the law stopped him before revenge. But one thing is certain: Hugh Glass became a legend. A man who survived a grizzly bear attack, betrayal, starvation, and thousands of kilometers of wilderness. That's why many people still call him one of the toughest men in history, and maybe even the hardest man who ever lived. If you want more stories like this, like and subscribe.